everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Doc. I'm your host, Jennifer Filzen, and I have with me a repeat guest, Angie Manson of Elevate Addiction Services. Welcome back, Angie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's so great seeing you. For those who are around the country, we're not far from each other. We're like 45 minutes from each other. I'm in Monterey, you're in Santa Cruz here in beautiful California. And I just want to hear what is going on. I've been listening to so much information about mental health and addiction services and recovery. Like, remember when this is a topic that we really couldn't talk about because it's been pushed under the rug? And fortunately, it's becoming the topic that people are no longer ashamed to discuss. That's great news, right? How is it affecting your practice?
Yeah, well, the one thing that's interesting I've noticed, our business is sort of cyclical. So, and it's seasonal and it's always changing. But, numbers kind of die down over the holidays. And even it used to be like January 1st, everybody makes their commitments and they come to rehab. But that's somewhat extended recently, where people aren't having that initial gut reaction to change things. They carry things on a little longer. But right now, with what's happening in the world, ours is a business that actually does better when the world is sort of at discomfort or a disease, ill ease, however you want to look at that. That's when people are like, okay, so things are really chaotic around me right now. Maybe it is a good time to go to rehab. So right now our numbers are doing better than they have in a really long time because people are finally taking those measures to come to rehab. And I think you're right. There's so much stigma that's been removed about drug addiction. It used to be very private and it still is. I mean, we're protected by HIPAA, but it's become more mainstream and acceptable to get help. And I think that's why we're seeing an increase as well.
Oh yeah, and you're right. It's a really rough time. I want to say it's a shit show. I know we're not really supposed to cuss, but here we are. It is a shit show out there.
It is. It is. It is. And I don't want to be a merchant of chaos, but we do better when it's a shit show because people decide, okay, I guess I can do health now. Because when things are good, everyone's like, why do I need rehab? Look, everything's good. I'm being taken care of. Life is fine. No problems. But when things are bad, they're like, okay, now I need help.
Well, also too, there's the guilt. If you are having a bad time when things are good, a lot of people will throw that line of, "Well, you have a lot better than so and so." But when everyone's suffering, it's like, because it's true. It's like there have been studies that it doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor, or you're somewhere in between. If you're beautiful, if you're not, if you're educated or not, it's hitting everyone. And I'm also kind of going down the autism spectrum, ADHD rabbit hole. I'm learning so much about that and realizing that, oh, heck, I'm on the spectrum. And I didn't realize that so many family members were on the spectrum. And that would explain that when you're undiagnosed and you're not being treated for it, that can lead to addiction and other issues, which again is a family issue. It's like, wow, so much is going on. But tell me, I know that you specialize in the people that are already in the addiction phase and they need to go to rehab. But what about those of us who have yet to get there, but we're on our way because we're having a few too many drinks or we're needing to self-soothe a little too much? What information and help can you offer us?
Yeah, well, and also I will say included in that is fentanyl hitting the scene. There's a lot of kids that are not even realizing they're taking it. So maybe they're not necessarily suffering from addiction, but the lifestyle has become so dangerous that families are like, you got to go to rehab because you don't even have the luxury to experiment, which used to be like the norm for so many years. But now experimenting, and because they're lacing it in everything, people are dying from it. So in addition to, yeah, like you said, the people that are maybe drinking, maybe they haven't got to that point, but maybe they're trying fentanyl and they don't even know they're trying it. I would say it's never, ever too early to confront your issues if you have that ability to go to rehab. Because if it's a good program like ours where there's a curriculum, you handle your trauma, you deep dive why you started doing these behaviors that are either self-soothing or escapism, or even just to have fun, you can identify and start to change that path sooner than later. A lot of people checking into rehab for 30 or 60 days, that's not a reality. They have jobs, they're functional, things like that. There's also so many online services now. We even put our curriculum online so people can do virtual outpatient from the comfort of their homes so that they can maintain their livelihood and all the stuff that they need to do there. But now is the time more than ever to deep dive and handle whatever issues you have and head them off at the pass before they develop into an addiction where you're losing everything and you have to take more drastic measures.
Bravo. Good for you. I'm so proud of you and the good work that you're doing. So, for those of the audience members who have not met you yet, because this is our second time meeting, could you please give us an overview as to what it is that you're doing within your services? What is the program like, and how does someone join?
So we have a couple residential programs in Santa Cruz and South Lake Tahoe. It's a drug and alcohol treatment program. We treat the whole individual holistically, body, mind, and soul. And we also take everybody off of all medications that they're on and have them do the program drug free. And at that point, they can determine whether they have other issues that need to be handled. But the reality is 90% of the people that go through our program realize that a lot of their diagnosis and their issues stemmed from their addiction, not necessarily a mental situation that they have. So a big part of our program is mindfulness, which they start doing the day they come into the program, which helps the individual learn their triggers and also to be causative when that occurs, how to find their breath, how to get themselves through it, and how to not just reactively go back to what they used to do, which was using to handle these situations. We also use exercise, which is a huge component of our program because we realize that diet and exercise are a big part of what fuels people's either addiction or general mental health of not feeling good or doing good. So we get them right away working at physical health, which also gets all their hormones back in place. They can sleep better and do better a lot earlier on by pushing themselves in that manner. And then we have an entire copyrighted curriculum where we deep dive their traumas. We have one-on-one counselors. We have team building. We have positive psychology. So we attack it from many different angles that helps a person truly realize the pitfalls that they may experience when they go back home, how to avoid those. And we do from the day they come in, we do exit planning, how to prepare themselves for when they leave, because we also realize they're kind of in a bubble with us. And it's easier to stay clean when you're not constantly surrounded by toxic people or situations or environments that make them want to relapse. So we prepare them from the day they come in to best handle those situations. And then we have a full continuum of care after they leave, where they can continue to do our outpatient, our alumni groups, those sort of things to continue to work on themselves after they leave and they've reacclimated back into their homes.
Good for you. I love how you're making the world a better place, one person in rehab at a time. That's great. And you're right. It's any bad habits that you undo when you go back into an environment that encourages the bad habits again. It's like, so that's great that you help them with that, because you're right. It's like, yes, there's not just the the drug and alcohol, but I was thinking food addiction as well, right? You're being all disciplined with your diet. We all can relate to this. I'm going to exercise more, and then you sit on the couch. It's like it's challenging.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, and there's many different ways of self-soothing. Retail therapy, that was a big one for me. It's like, okay, maybe I wouldn't eat bad, but if I was having a bad day, I would go shop. I'd buy myself something so I could get that hit of dopamine and oxytocin and feel good about myself for a minute. And then it was back down the other side. So it's important to sort of just recognize those patterns and see how we self-soothe in order to cope with situations.
Exactly. Well, Angie, as always, it is great seeing you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to our Ask the Doc show. I hope you found some really valuable, and helpful information from Angie Manson. Please make sure you go to Buzz TV at iwannabuzz.com to learn more about Elevate Addiction Services in Santa Cruz and Lake Tahoe. Thanks again and have a great day. Bye.